Hello and welcome to the Backline Report. Every week, Fred Alvader and I bring you the latest in the world of golf news, insights, and analysis. And this week, we are very pumped because we're going to talk about the U.S. Women's Open that is going to be this weekend. Fred, hi, how are you today?
Carlos, I'm fantastic. I'm down here in Columbus, Ohio right now. I was out to the memorial today, listened a little bit to Jack Nicklaus's annual press conference. As always, Jack is very insightful and answers questions really, really well. He's looking a little older, of course. I think he's like 84, but his mind is still good, and he's really involved in golf. And it should be another great memorial this week, Carlos. Even without Rory McIlroy, who decided to take the week off. So yeah, we're looking good. We've got the 80th U.S. Women's Open to talk, Carlos. Let's go.
Let's go. And hey, for those unfamiliar, Erin Hills is gonna be the course where they're gonna be playing. If you might not know, it's a walking course only, and it's carved into the rolling terrain of Erin, Wisconsin. And Fred, I know you're gonna talk about the design and all that, but if you might remember in 2017 U.S. Open, where Brooks Koepka captured his first major and several other USGA championships. This is a court that I think is built for drama. Okay, has long fescue rough, big undulating greens. It has some windswept fairways that demand precise ball striking. What you think? I think it's a truly U.S. Open test, now ready to challenge the world's best women's golfers.
Well, it absolutely is. So you mentioned the 2017 U.S. Open, and I got to play Erin Hills in 2017 for the media day for the U.S. Open, and I loved it. We got rained out in the last couple holes, so there's a couple holes I didn't get to play, but it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful golf course. A gentleman by the name of Lang had the course built, and he used Michael Hertzen and Dana Fry and Ron Willingham, and they did a wonderful job on the golf course. Well, Mr. Lang wanted to bring a U.S. Open to his golf course, Erin Hills. And so he had Mike Davis and his staff, who was at the time the executive director of the USGA, out several times. And they kept telling him, you got to change this, you got to change that. It was a beautiful golf course to begin with, right? Spent a bunch of money. It was a championship golf course all the way. And by the time he did all the changes, he never realized enough income from having the U.S. Open there, and he went broke. He had to sell the golf course. He went bankrupt just because of the USGA demanding all these changes to give him his U.S. Open. Yeah, it's got a great history. Let's talk a little bit. This is the 80th U.S. Women's Open, Carlos. The first U.S. Women's Open was the only time it was match play. It was played in Spokane, Washington Country Club in 1946. Patty Berg won that. The Women's Professional Golfers Association conducted three U.S. Women's Open in '49, and then they formed the LPGA was formed from that, which took over running the Women's Open for 4 years. And then in 1953, they asked the USGA to take it over, and they did. And they've conducted it ever since 1953. The youngest winners of a U.S. Women's Open was Indy Park and Yuka Sasso, who we're going to talk about some more, who each won the championship at 19 years, 11 months, and 17 days. Babe Diedrich Zaharias, I'm sure you know that name. She was the oldest player to ever win the U.S. Open. The only amateur to ever do well was Catherine Lacoste. The shirts Lacoste. She was from that family in France. Rene Lacoste was her father, and she won the 27 British Ladies Amateur, and she became the only amateur to ever win the U.S. Women's Open. That was in 1967, so not that long ago. I mean, we kind of remember back then, or I do anyhow, for sure. But getting back to Erin Hills, it's a wonderful golf course. I love the place. It's absolutely gorgeous, out in the middle of the farmland in Wisconsin, about 35 miles northwest of Milwaukee. A lot of sand dunes, a lot of rolling terrain. The greens are treacherous, a lot of undulation, a lot of roll in them. And Erin Hills, in addition to hosting the 2017 U.S. Open, won by Brooks Koepka, and this year's U.S. Women's Open, it's also hosted the 2008 U.S. Women's Pub Links, the 2011 U.S. Amateur, and the 2022 U.S. Mid-Am. So it has a history, Carlos, even in its short lifespan so far, which only dates back to like 2006. But it's a great golf course, beautiful setting, love it to death.
It is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see them play this week. And the first one we have to talk about all these players is the defending champion. Let's do some spotlight on her. That's Chuka Sasso. She's returning to the U.S. Women's Open. She's a two-time champion. Okay, we remember seeing her winning in 2021 again last year. So already cementing her name among the game's elites before the age of 25. But I get quite asked this by a coworker here. Is this, but why you talk about her? What makes it so special? Well, look, this girl has power off the tee. Okay, she's one of the longest hitters on tour, but she's also calm under pressure. Both times that she has won the U.S. Women's Open, those wins have come either on a playoff or a clutch Sunday moments. So you know she's going to be calm under pressure. She's already tested on that. Just major pedigree. She knows how to handle the toughest setups. And Erin Hills, for sure, it's going to demand every ounce of that experience. At Erin Hills, I think that her ability to control her distance, manage the windy links like terrain that Erin Hills has, and stay patient on tough greens, I think that's going to be the key for her. But can she join that rare club of back to back US Women's Open winners? That, Fred, is the big question this week, and all eyes will be on her when she's going to tee it up.
That's going to be a tough task, Carlos. I would bet against that. I would take the field versus Yuka. There's some really great players. You know, as you know, there's great women players out there today. She's a really wonderful player. Win two U.S. Opens. I don't care what you're playing off. You win two U.S. Women's Opens. That's pretty good stuff. So yeah, she's right in there. But we're going to talk about more people also. But one of the things I always like to look at, Carlos, in these major championships is who has finished runner up in a U.S. Open or U.S. Women's Open. And we've got 11 women in the field this week who have finished runner up. You've got Hiji Chin Choi, Nasa Hataoka, who we've seen, Charlie Hall, Huju Kim. I kind of like her this week, Carlos. Jin Young Ko, Anna Nordquist, Hinako Shibuno, Ji Shin, Lexi, Amy Yang, and Angel Yin have all finished runner up over the last 7, 8 years in a U.S. Women's Open. So I would say you could find one or two women out of this list that you might like for the tournament this week.
You do, and then you have also eight past champions, right? So any of those big names also, Ng Chan, Arya Yatanagarn, Ailey Kim, Minji Lee, Jung Lee Six,
And
Sunyoung Park.
our Aria just come off a win, right? She's playing
Yes,
quite well again.
yes, she does. So, I mean, this field is loaded. Plus, you see the top amateurs that are going to be there. There's Tom from the World's Amateur Golf Rankings. Top 50 are going to be playing here, starting with the world number one, Lottie Wood, also Kiara Romero, Rian Maliksi, and Maria Jose Marin. There's 40, Fred, 40 first-time competitors. And of course, the top of the Rolex rankings are going to be there. So, what does that tell us you about this field and what makes it so special?
I got to tell you, when you're talking about amateurs, there's one in there from Ohio State, Carlos, Carrie Hollenball, who is a really, really good player. She's ranked number 22 in the world amateur golf ranking. And she won one of the regionals to get in there. So she's a nice player. Carlos, I don't know that any of the amateurs will win. It would be nice to see a few of them make the cut and be in the mix a little bit. We saw, what we see, three or four of these ladies in the NCAA Women's Championship last week. So there's, these girls these women that are in college, they're ready to play. Okay, they're ready to come out on tour, especially Lottie Wood. My goodness, she's just a heck of a player. And the competition they get now, like at the Augusta National Women's Amateur and the Sally, the Southern Amateur, Women's Amateur, and some of these other big tournaments, NCAA's. The competition on the women's side is just as intense as on the men, Carlos. And there's some really, really good players in here.
Yeah, I mean, Lottie Wood, that just quickly ascended the amateur golf ranks, and she's from Florida State University. She clinched that 2024 last year. The Augusta National Women's Amateur title was a dramatic finish. But like you mentioned, I don't think we expect them to win, but it's going to be good to see who's going to be there at the top amateur. At least if one of them makes a cut, how are they going to fare with it? I also like Kiara Romero from San Jose. She is from the University of Oregon. She was the 2023 U.S. Girls Junior Champion, so she joined that elite group of past winners. So we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of great standouts to watch, but also we have some hot players coming in, and I have four that I'm going to mention, and those are the four that I think you always look for form coming into the tournament. And of course, Nelly Corda, we have to start with her. She has been dominating the tour
She hasn't
since
done that
last year.
much this year, though. It might be time for her to kickstart and get her year going.
I think she does, and she she's the top player. Her confidence, precise iron, steady putt, and make it her player. To watch every week. I would say Lilia Vu. She has dealt with injuries this season, but when healthy, she's one of the most dangerous players on tour. Lydia Ko, oh my God, you have to see. She's savvy, could make a difference here. And Hannah Green also consistently, quietly consistent stacking up top 10 finishes. Who you see that is coming hot coming into?
So I want to just run down the top 10 of the Rolex ranking real quick. So you got Nelly Korda still at number one, even though she hasn't had that great of a year so far. She had such a big lead. She's still at number one. Gino, Theta Cool, Lydia Ko, Runan Ying, Lily Vu, Heiren Rue, Huju Kim, Hannah Green, Lauren Coughlin, and Jin Young Ko is number 10. So that being said, some of the best that I see coming in here, I agree with you with Lydia Ko. I always like Lydia, you know that. I just think she's phenomenal. I think this could be a very good golf course for her because she's fairways and greens, fairways and greens. If the putter's okay, she'll have a really good week. I like Minji Lee. She's won majors. She's won other tournaments. She's a steady player. She doesn't get too up, doesn't get too down. I think she could be a real factor this week. I like Huju Kim. In big tournaments, seems like she's always on the leaderboard. Really good player. And then I got to agree with you with Nelly. I have her on my list as well. And so I think Nelly needs this win actually.
Yeah, so in my predictions and players to watch, I have my top pick is Nelly Korda. I think she's the best player on the planet and plain and simple to me. Uh, she just have to get it together. I think this is like the specific great tournament for her to do it. I mean, she has a combination of length, precision, plus that poise. I mean, incredible. And it will take something special for her not to be lifting the trophy. I think this week. I have that feeling for her. And some other top contenders, Lilia Vu. I mean, she has a history of major success. She's proven she can peak when it matters. Min Jae Lee, past champion, is always a factor at the U.S. Open thanks to her ball striking and accuracy, which, especially under tough conditions like this, she will be a player to watch. Another player that I think, and even though we haven't talked about her a lot, but she used to be a former world number one with ice in her veins, that's Jin Young Ko. I mean, she thrives in the big moments and knows how to close. And this would be another tournament for her to actually come out on top, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her lift the trophy. My dark horse for it is Rose Chang. She's the young phenom who's already shown she can handle the pro stage, but she needs her putter to heat up. I mean, she could make a deep run and shake up the leaderboard. She does. My amateur to watch, Lottie Wood, world number one, Augusta National Women's Amateur Champion. She's fearless. She could surprise some veterans with her poise and aggressive play. She might not win it, but I think she'll make the cut and she'll be one to watch. And my wild card, I know it. I know. I'm gonna hear it. It's Lexi Thompson. She's a veteran, U.S. Open women's scars. Lexi, I wish she's like the sentimental champion that we would like her to do for some redemption. She knows how to contend in majors, and if she would be locked in, I think she has the power and experience to challenge. Who you think, Fred, you have there?
I'm not I'm not big on Lexi. She's just not playing enough. I know she's playing a little bit, but she's not playing enough. And the pressure on U.S. Women's Open ramps up, and I just don't see her doing that well this year, this week. And I truly like Nelly Korda, and I really think it's time for her to win. I mentioned Huju Kim. I like her. Lydia, of course. As far as someone else, if I it's hard for me, but you mentioned Hannah Green. She would be my kind of long shot. I know she's won majors before, but she's kind of up and down. So for her to get a U.S. Women's Open win, that would be gigantic for her. And then of course the amateur, like I said, I'm watching Carrie Hollenbaugh. I'm watching her all the way. I hope they have her on TV every once. I hope she makes the cut and does well. And Carlos, I want to mention quick before we go away that like I say, there's great golf on this weekend on TV. You got the Memorial Tournament here from Muirfield Village in Columbus on CBS, and then the U.S. Women Open is, of course, going to be on NBC, USA, Golf Channel, and Peacock. So you might have to do some bouncing around to catch all the action. But just to give it to you real quick, they're going to start on Peacock every day, and then they're going to flip over well, the first 2 days is USA and Peacock. Okay, USA basically does it from noon till 6 p.m. and Peacock has it before and after. Then on the weekend, of course, you have NBC having it in the main slot 3 to 6 p.m. On both Saturday and Sunday, and then you also have it on Peacock, so that you can watch it there. So you've got the U.S. Women's Open on NBC, Golf Channel, Peacock. You've got USA, and you've got the Memorial on CBS and Jim Nance. Hello, friends. So a lot of good golf this weekend, Carlos, to watch.
Definitely. And before I close it, I wanted to ask you because that's what we would like to see, right? Is what do you think it takes? This course is specifically challenging, but what will it take for a player to come out on top? What do they have to dominate? What they have to show
If
to
I were
win
if
the
I were
U.S.
going to
Open?
bet, I would look at the chipping stats, which I did not do. I would look at the chipping stats from like 150 in and see who's leading that, who's in the top five, the top 10. I would say that your winner is going to come from that because they're not going to hit every green. I'm sure the rough won't be as penal as it was for the 2017 U.S. Open that Koepka won. I mean, if you remember, that rough was brutal, and he was so strong he could hack it out of there where a lot of guys couldn't even get it out. And if they have it like that, it's been wet and cold up there, so the golf course is soft. It's going to be playing long, so you need length and you need a really good touch around the greens, Carlos. That's what I would be looking at.
Love it. That's we have it on record, so everybody has to know. Whenever next week we talk about this, that's what we're going to look for. That's going to be the winner, and I am agreeing with you 100%. So we're both liable for this, so no problem on that. Hey, so let's close it. As the 80th U.S. Women's Open tees off at Erin Hills, I think we're set up for a week of unforgettable moments. The ladies give us that. They are fierce competitors, and the world's best players are going to be there. They're going to push their limits on one of golf's grandest stages. Whether it's seasoned champions, rising stars, fearless amateurs, this field is stacked with talent ready to seize the moment. So stay tuned, follow the action, and join us next week for a full recap as we break down all the drama, surprises, and highlights from this historic championship. Until then, enjoy the golf, and we'll see you on the back nine.